Okay, so we are back after almost a year break, but there was a very good reason for it. This is episode 21 of the Whole Topic podcast. And honestly, it's been really exciting to sit back and reflect over the last year and what it has taken, where it has taken all of us. Um, Stephanie has started what is it? Is it a micro school or something like that? I don't know if I even told you that.
Hmm. Yeah,
It's
wasn't it like the red schoolhouse or something like that?
something that she's like doing 2 days of school at home and 2 days of school um in class with a teacher and different and it's just it's kind of like homeschooling, but it's like doing co-op 2 days a week. Um so I know that's taken a
Hmm.
lot out of her, but it's exciting to see what she's doing with that. I do miss seeing her face all the time whenever I feel like it. So I am judging her for that,
Right.
but other than that, I'm excited for her.
Sorry, Steph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She will be back on the podcast from time to time. But this season specifically, we're hoping to get a few more guests on here. I'm very excited about. I've already been talking to some of them about coming on sooner rather than later. But
Yay.
other than that, uh, I will go ahead and share a little bit of updates where we're at. As you can see, I'm sitting in a partially finished office. We ended up moving, so if you haven't
Mm.
followed along with any of our accounts, we moved in June. We bought a bigger property with a creek that actually flows through the property, which is what we originally wanted. And the perk of that is we ended up being able to build a house, which so I have been living off grid for since June. So if anybody all y'all judging that we haven't been recording, have mercy on our poor souls. We have been living off grid for pretty
No
much
one
the most
cares.
part. Yes, and thank you.
Yeah. You're
Um,
welcome.
yeah, so it has been very interesting. We've had to, our well is going in this week. So hopefully by the time the podcast goes out, um, we will have a well and running water and be almost moved into the basement. The upstairs will be finished up in spring, but it's definitely been a lot of changes. And I had my baby. She's 10 months old, almost
Oh
11.
my goodness. Oh my goodness.
So,
That went by so fast.
yes,
Andrea,
yep.
what?
She's in,
She's almost a year?
yes, and she's perfect in every way. She's
Well, of
chubby.
course.
So
Perfect.
that's an update on my life. So Ariel, go ahead and share a little bit of what your updates are for the.
Sure. Life has kept on going. Farming is great. Love it. Um, I did start my midwifery journey, so I now have a preceptor and I am a student midwife. That takes up a lot of my time, but caring for women in this way is really interesting. I see the need on the continuity of care for women. Um, it's just, but I still doula inside the hospital, which is, it's interesting to go back and forth between both worlds. A lot to say, but I'm going to keep it all to myself
Hmm. Yeah,
until I can better express it. Yeah.
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 Well, that's exciting. You're perfect. You are definitely embody the one
Oh, shut.
of a midwife and doula.
Thanks.
If only we
Thanks.
were closer again, like 15 minutes from each other,
I know.
I would have had you
One more time in our life that might happen.
right. Okay. So, today let's go ahead and get into today's talk. And we want to talk about winter. This is what we titled it, Winter, a Season of Hibernation. And um, there's a lot of busy in life. And I know there sometimes can feel like it's an overload of people saying, hey, slow down. But maybe we can just give you a reflection into maybe or a view into what we personally feel of as what winter should look like, especially as people that run a farm and do gardens. And this is not just for you if you do those things. Winter has a purpose. The leaves die in the fall. Everything gets cold. It gets darker earlier. Like there's so many things that nature does that it seems, if we're wise, and I'll be honest, over the last 8 years when we've done this, going into the winter with that in mind, like hibernation in mind of like pulling back from all the activities,
Mm.
and coming back into the home. I don't have a lot of notes here. All I have is like words. I just put words out there, and then we'd go
Yeah.
off those. So the first word that comes to mind when I think of what we do in our family is reflection.
Mm.
And before I go, take it away here. I'm going to give you a little bit of, I'd like to hear your feedback of when you think of reflection and how you would encourage another person or another mom who's like, even today, I was just in the nursery at co-op. This is our last co-op for the semester. And she was like, I literally feel like I'm being pulled in every single direction. Like there's always an event or something that has to be done. So when
Mm.
you think of reflection, what does that look like for your family, and how would you encourage someone else to be able to just pull back the fishing reel and
Right. Well, it's it's that balance, right? And it's just for my personal sake. If I feel too stressed out, I know there's probably too much on my plate. However, I know plenty of people, especially going into the winter season, who put more on their plate. They're going to have to see family. It brings up feelings. They're going to have meals with people that they maybe only see once a year. Or maybe it's a joyful time, but it's still got kids are still in sports, or maybe they're driving, or maybe I don't, you got to do all these gifts for people. And um, to be reflective of the moment that you're in is sometimes really hard when, as a mom, you're pulled in lots of different directions. Andrea, you know this, you've got lots of kids. And so imagine if they're all in school and they're all doing their own thing and they want this from you and they want to go here with these people. And so maybe your calendar's super bogged down, but having a season, and for some people, it's not going to be winter just because that's the flow of their life, right? But for us as farmers, it's so reflective in winter. It's like everything else outside dies and a little bit of us does too. And we like,
yeah,
like we just hibernate down and we try to put less on our plate in the winter time so that we can really reflect on family. And the only advice that I really give moms for reflecting is to sit down with a piece of paper and dump your brain out.
mhm,
Dump your brain out, all the things. And I'm not just talking about what you have to do, the things you want to do, the goals and aspirations you have, get it all down on paper and then reflect on it and think, is my life going in the direction that I want it to go? Like,
yeah,
are these stepping stones for me to go in the direction that I want to go? And if they're not, and if they're not something that you want to hold on to or think you want to hold on to, then don't, you
yeah.
know? But what about you? How do you
Well,
reflect in the season?
I think too, just like even talking about being super busy in a season that feels like it should be calm, like
Hmm.
it almost gives me anxiety to think about like the person who could be dealing with that right now, and like
Yeah,
feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to be here and I have to be there and I have to be doing this activity or that activity. At some point, when you say yes to too many things, you're saying no to something that could be more important. And
right.
I do think like that's a time like this time of year, especially when we get once we get in the basement and get hunkered
Yeah.
down, have a wood stove and have a cozy place to at least like sleep. Um,
Mhm.
I think about the fact that I look over the last year and I think, what is it that caused me the most frustration with my kids or my family or even my husband? And I look
Mm.
at those and I'd be like, okay, so what is taking up time that's causing me to feel that way? Or causing, because a lot of times I take time to reflect on that and it goes back to something I'm doing in my life or something that's sucking my time that maybe shouldn't be sucking my time, or
Mm.
having too many commitments going on outside of that, outside of my home. And a lot of times it comes down to that. Like we say yes to too many things outside of our home. And I don't
Hmm.
even care what time of year it is. Like it is our job to make sure our home is a haven and a peaceful place for our children, for our
Yeah,
family. Um,
yeah.
and yes, it could be hard if, different spouses want different things. You figure that out. But for us, winter is definitely a time where I sit down, like you said, and I honestly do brain dump. I brain dump and I'm like, okay, so what am I okay with doing going for the next few months or the next few weeks?
Right.
Um,
Right.
your whole year is a great example of what could be working, what can't be working, and try to change that before you get into the next year. Um,
Yeah.
but as someone who does homestead and plant your garden, like sit down and plant your garden on your couch. It's the coziest place to plant a garden. Like you don't
Hmm.
have to be outside. You could just look at a piece of paper and plant your garden. So that's another thing I,
Right. Get all the magazines,
yeah,
get all your catalogs.
on a lighter note, plant your garden.
Yeah.
But just reflecting on like what's your family, what is your goals for the next year? Is your goals to be running? Like 30% of mothers, 30% of families, excuse me, 30% of families I've heard actually eat meals around the dinner table, which seems like a big number.
Only 30?
That's which seems like a big number to
No.
some people, but I'm like, no, that's not a very big number. To be
Right.
meeting your family around the table and making sure that you guys are connecting that day. Something's got to give in our big, busy, awesome schedules to invest in the people that are in our home. And I cannot say that enough. Like when you go through your life, your children and your kids and your families are the ones that are going to be there. Like not that
Yeah.
you shouldn't, have things outside of your home, but really, really try to go in and reflect. Is my home a haven for my family? Have I
Yeah.
created a space for them to come around the dinner table? Like that is something, a gift that we get to give to our families. Um, and
Yeah.
see, this season is definitely that for us, for my family, like for our family. And I really hope that more people will figure out that nature literally just kind of plays out. Like you notice in spring, things feel cheery and happy and exciting. In summer, you feel
Hmm.
like just going and picnicking everywhere. And then in fall, it's like,
Hmm.
hey, we're kind of like winding down. It's probably everybody's favorite time
Hmm.
of year. And then in winter, it's like, okay,
Hmm.
snuggle up in that blanket, get yourself some books, and
Hmm.
just enjoy the quietness
Hmm.
of the season. Well, it is
Hmm.
fun.
And, and and don't let other people's expectations drive your schedule.
Mhm.
It's good to serve people, and there is a time for doing stuff like that. But letting people know what you can actually afford to give
Yeah.
is so valuable,
Yep.
and not letting their expectations, because people will do that to you. People will be like, "Well, I thought you were going to do this." And you're like, you start to get that stress, and you're like, "Well, I didn't have time to make that casserole because I was doing all of this over here, and then
Yeah.
the kids dumped this on the floor, and then I had to go do that." But like, people don't know all the things. First of all, half the people don't even care what's going on in your day because
Right.
they're too worried about their own day.
Yep.
Which is a shame, because if we could all just check in on each other and be like, "How was your day?
Yes.
What's going on?"
Yep.
That happens usually within friend groups, but outside of that, I don't really see it too much personally happening. I think people are so this is what I see. It's not for sure everybody, but I see a lot of stress. People are go, go, go. And I hope that they can take winter. Your circadian rhythm is gonna slow down. The
Yeah.
sun has gone down, and so
Yep.
it's time to stop working. I love that Bible verse. Yeshua said it. It was oh shoot, now I'm gonna forget it. But it was something like, we don't work at nighttime. It was like the expectation was there in the Bible that you don't work once the sun goes down. And it's like, well, now the sun's going down super early in the
Yep.
wintertime. Am I expected not to work during that time? But I've got a deadline to meet, but I've got this to work. But if you really do try to rearrange your day to fit that work schedule of daytime and then rest when it is nighttime, oh
Mhm.
man, you're going to be so well rested all throughout winter because you're getting a long time of rest.
And it's your time where your body, I mean, a lot of people their immune systems can be stronger. It's the times where you need to be drinking the teas and, doing all the things.
Yeah.
And we found that when we just implement that in our day, we don't get as sick. Like, um, but
Yeah.
when it's just one of those things. It's like a choice you have to make. Like, how much should I drag my family through to be all the things to all the people? And I like what you said about like checking in on people and if you're the person asking of someone and they're like, hey, I can't. If you haven't listened to the
Yeah.
episode Boundaries, please go find that on our channel or we'll even post it in the comments. Go listen to that because um, your yes should be all yes and your no should be all no. Like, and people need to be okay with that. Um, and
Hmm.
I've even had friends tell me like, if I call them up like, hey, do you have time for XYZ? If they say no to me, they're like, you're like the easiest person to say no to. They say a lot of yeses to me, but I'm the easiest person to say
Hmm.
no to because they know that I'm going to accept their no and realize, hey, I love the fact that you just told me no because that means that you're going to protect your own sanity. And when you can say yes to me, we're all in. Like, because I do the same thing to them.
Right.
It's a no because I can't put my whole self into it. It's a yes because I can put my whole self into it. And just keeping in
Right.
mind, you're not doing anybody any favors by trying to be all things to all people. Just take a chill and relax.
No.
It's also a time,
Yeah.
um, I actually use it as a time to read more books. I don't get to do that all
Mm.
summer pretty much. I don't get to do it
Yeah.
a ton in the, like, I just don't. Like, I have too many things going on. The sun stays up later in the summers, and, we try to stay up later.
You're outside.
Yes, just
It's
enjoying
nice
the
out.
weather. Yes, and
Yeah.
living my
Yeah.
own life instead of reading about somebody else's. Um,
Yeah.
Even though I do like reading about other people's. Very important to make sure that if someone had to write a book on you, it would be well worth the read.
Uh-huh. It would be interesting for
It
sure.
would be interesting.
Yeah.
That's very important. I always tell my kids that because, like, I love that my kids love to read, but I'm not a fan of the big homeschool or like, oh my gosh, reading is everything because I don't think it is. I think it's
Sure.
a really good thing to have. But dude, make sure your book is going to be interesting about your life if someone ever writes on you. Like,
Fair
it,
point.
yeah,
Fair point.
it shouldn't be like so and so sat down and read about everybody else's adventures. Like,
Yeah.
no, not happening.
That's
So,
true. That's true. There's a whole bunch of people who are going to be caught up in books all winter long. And um, this is a good point for them. Like, go out there and make some memories,
yep,
besides just reading a
make the
book.
hot cocoa. Like, this is a season too where I'll even like turning on a movie in the middle of the day is like a huge no-no to me. Like,
Hmm.
mm-mm-mm. But
Hmm.
I make an exception, and it's going to become more of a thing in the years because now my girls are old enough to like watch Little House on the Prairie in the afternoon when it's chilly out. Um,
Nice.
Make more hot cocoa or watch Anna Green Gables or do
Yeah.
some of the chick flicks that we can, replay and that are timeless. Um,
Yeah.
just to bring in a different aspect or just making hot cocoa before everyone goes to bed while they're reading and snuggle up and reading or working on a project or
Yeah.
but it's definitely a season. It just you really have to be intentional about the memories, but they don't have to be super hard to create. Like
Sure.
they don't. It's
Yeah.
for my kids, it's the absolute simple things of
Yeah.
making something a little extra special that night or
Hmm.
just snuggling up on the couch or like there's so many ways you can make or doing more picnics on the floor in the house.
Yeah.
Like that's something
Yeah.
I loved doing. I haven't been able to do it here because I didn't have a floor to do it on.
That's
But
right.
getting a floor to do it on. um,
Good.
where
Yeah.
you do picnics on the floor or make a charcuterie board and
Any of the crafts. We don't do any crafts at all during spring and summer and fall because we're outside.
yep,
But inside time, we can do crafts.
yep, yep. There's
All
just
of
so
them,
many things
you
and it
know?
just slows down. Everyone comes in. It's
Hmm.
where everyone kind of stays closer to home. It's the time to eat
Hmm.
all the cozy foods there's just something
Hmm.
so beautiful about intentionally slowing down with the seasons. And I know that's so Ariel, that is so counterintuitive to what we as a nation do because winter is like one of the busiest seasons for so many people. So we're speaking
Oh, yeah.
against culture right now.
Yeah.
Promise you, if you get your body into the season,
Yeah.
how they ask you to react to things, it feels so much better.
I think so. And I think there's a good amount of people that are on this train that want that for themselves. And I know there's a good amount of people that are 9 to 5ers
Mhm.
who don't get the time, right? So their time is going to be the same year round, regardless. Um, but more or less, it's resting in this season. It's finding other things to do besides stress, besides hitting the grind, um, and you're right, that is counterintuitive. But I think people are getting on to it. I really
I
do. I believe in this. I believe that people are, oh my goodness, we're just a bunch of moms from the middle of nowheres.
Yeah.
and we're doing podcasts. And there are so many people out there who have now like started big things and
Mhm.
doing all these things. And I wonder how much stress it is to them, or I wonder if it's a release to them, because some people and their personalities are totally different.
Yep.
It just makes me think about it.
Yeah. It's definitely a I hope that our generation sees the value in family because especially if you're a believer listening to this, I'm a believer, Ariel's a believer.
Hmm.
The center of our world is Jesus.
Hmm.
And if all my kids walk away from my home is knowing Jesus and having a personal relationship with him, my job's done. Like
Hmm.
I I don't think a lot of people realize, and maybe they do. Maybe I'm just like, we need to pay more attention to it. The biggest attack on the ministry that has the biggest attack is the family. It's the family. It's not anything else that's falling apart, any fellowships that fall apart, any churches that fall apart. The root of strong communities is family.
Hmm.
So if your family is being spread apart so far that you don't have control over anything, you have no, not like you just don't have that, my home is the place where we all come back together. If there's constant tension, something's got to change. Like I mean, we as women are very intuitive, and I believe my husband is too, but there's something about a woman's intuition that's like, hey, something's off here. We know.
Hmm.
So, I think just take the time to reflect, take the time to just try to be a little bit more intentional about saying no. And yeah, it's go listen to our boundaries thing because if someone gets mad, that's not on you. They just have to get mad. That's okay. That's a reflection of who they are, not a
Hmm.
reflection of you who you are. If you have to say, no, you know what, tonight I'm actually going to stay back and I'm going to read a story to my kids. Tonight I'm
Hmm.
going to stay back and I'm going to make sure that our bedtime routines are getting more smoother and smoother. I'm going to take the winter and I'm going to snuggle in because I know in the summer days they're going to be in the creek, 5 hours a day. At
Hmm.
least that's how my house is. Um, but just,
Yeah.
I think this is something I just really, because this has been an episode on my heart for quite a while. Um,
Over a year.
yes, if people could just understand that, just try to like take the winter. You even mentioned it. I think even hormonally, when the seasons
Mm.
are like getting darker, that even the sun, the way it sets, there's just something about it that's like, hey, it's time to rest. Nature's resting. You get in your house and rest, or go for
Hmm.
walks with your family, or just really invest in your family.
Vitamin D.
Oh, and vitamin D.
Let's add that one in there.
Yep.
Yeah, because we're all deficient, apparently, according to some statistics, that we're all deficient in lots of things. Our soil's depleted in lots of things. But vitamin D is, especially if you live north of a certain parallel, we're at the 45th parallel here. And I think it's like 98% of people or something are deficient in vitamin D at this parallel. Uh, So it's such a big difference. We had a woman come in the other day. She was so foggy brained. She couldn't think straight. She was so stressed out. Everything was going rampant. And then we were like, so we did a blood panel and we did some other tests on her and came back. She was severely deficient in vitamin B, specifically her B6. And so we gave her some good forms of B6. And actually we gave her the P5P form of B6, which is the active ingredient of B6. It's quickly available. It's what's converted in your body. So you take in B6 and then your body converts it to P5P, which has a long name and I can't remember it. And so she took that literally the very first time she took it. She was like, I think I need to make a menu. I think I'm okay to like go for a walk today. Like, and this is a woman who is sedentary for so long. You just don't know. Maybe everything that's going on with you is really a deficiency. And
Mhm.
the biggest deficiency for a lot of people in winter is the sun. It's
Yep.
vitamin D.
Yep.
So maybe everything you're going through and all this stress could really just be fixed with a little bit of vitamins.
Yep. Yep.
It's just a thought, you
Yep.
know?
Slowing down, getting your hormones in balance. It is a huge
Yeah.
thing. Hormones. A lot of times when I hit the cray cray, I'm like, oh. I'm definitely deficient in something. So
It's that time of the month.
yep,
I am
I'm
deficient.
going to go cray cray, or you are going to go cray cray. No, I'm kidding. I do,
Love it.
I do think it's important not like to control ourselves because I have seen people take that to the extreme where they use it as an excuse to not be very kind to people around you.
Yeah.
When in fact, we just need to get our hormones in balance, like you said, and just
Hmm.
do our best to be kind.
Yeah.
But here's the last thing I'm going to add to this because I did go through the whole list of all the words I jotted down.
Oh yeah,
Stay
yeah.
home way more. That is, if I could leave you with anything, and you know what, you might take that and be like, well, my way more is staying home once a week. Okay, fine. That's way more than going out every single day of the week.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind as you're doing this. How can I stay home way more? How can I have way more meals around the table? How can I have way more time to just sit on the couch and hold my babies? How can I have way more
Hmm.
time to um, do a date with my husband? Like there's so many things you need to be thinking. How can I have way more time? And that does mean other things will have to go because you can't do all the crazies and then try to do way more at home while simultaneously trying to keep up with all the crazies. And
Yeah.
remember, the Joneses don't count. I don't even think the Joneses keep with the Joneses. You just need to walk
No.
out what's best for your family. And it could look different for each of us. Like some people, they go out 2 or 3 times a week and they're fine with that. And they still find ways to like be intentional about, you know, the meals around the table. And some
Hmm.
people, they prefer not to go out except once a week. I was that person for a while. Like it just go with what's going on in your home and reflect on that. But it's also
Hmm.
time to really reflect with your spouse, if you have a spouse, to kind of see like what are some goals that we can set to make sure that we're more intentional about our family life, like and making sure that we're very intentional about. I don't know, maybe we just need to do a whole episode on this. People need to eat more meals around the table, period.
It's
Um,
true.
and cook a fresh loaf of bread for crying out loud. It doesn't take that hard, take that long. It's funny because like I
Hmm.
was talking to my kids the other day and we made two fresh loaves of herb bread. It was fresh out of the oven, 20 minutes, of course. And then
Delightful.
butter. It was heaven on a plate. And I was kind of laughing. I was like, hey
Hmm.
guys, what if I switch this out for a store-bought loaf of bread? Would you guys all be crowding the table trying to reach for the bread as fast as you can? Not
No.
a chance.
No.
There's something
No.
about a home cooked meal that
Hmm.
just brings people together in your home. Um, and I probably do need to do a whole episode on eating at your table.
I just I just thought about this, and yes, that would be wonderful having Sally Clarkson and her
Oh,
books about eating
I
around the
feel
table.
like I feel like when I said, okay, so Sally Clarkson, I came, if you don't know Sally Clarkson, Becky
Hmm.
Mac, please
Hmm.
go follow her. I discovered her 2 years ago, and I cannot believe I only found her 2 years ago. She
I
does
know.
tea time. I never met someone that far ahead of me in life that did tea time with their kids. Like that's something
Yes.
I came up with. And
Yeah, no. No.
I actually told her, I commented somewhere on her stuff. She probably is like, oh, I don't even
Yeah.
know that person or they should, but she liked the comment. So I was like really proud of it. No, I,
Uh-huh.
I fangirl her sometimes because she
Uh-huh.
has such great content. And so I highly recommend going and following her. But anyways, what were you going to say? Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, so as you're talking about this, it's going off in my head. People are like, well, I just don't have time. I just don't have time for this. Remember how we talked about brain dumping?
Hmm?
One of the things you put on the paper is sit on the couch, wrap myself in a blanket, talk to my husband. Like we never put those things down on paper to say, oh, I need to fit this into my day. So if you just put those things down, you're gonna see, oh, this takes time. I actually have to do this and I have to fit this in here. And then cross out the other things that don't. But so many times we're just like, oh, I don't have time to put that in. I don't have time. But seriously, if you don't make time for it, it's gonna be like a rush, for the things that you usually and you're not in the habit of doing,
And I love
you
that.
know?
It's like even down to reading stories to our kids, we're pretty good at that. But with the season we're in right now, it's been very hard.
Hmm.
Like I seriously treasure. our school time. Like I know that probably
Hmm.
sounds really funny to some people, but I
It's
get to
fleeting.
I sit with each one of them, and it's so special to me.
Hmm.
Because like I can't school every day right now. So when I do school, I have to do like two lessons a day, two lessons whenever I
Yeah.
can, like twice or three times a week because we homeschool 4 days a week. So I have to
Yeah.
double it up, um, just to make sure we're getting everything done. And every time I sit with them and do school, I love it because it's intentional time that I'm spending with my kids that we're laughing and learning together. And it's we're always laughing. Like there's not a time that I have not
Hmm.
taught my kids that we haven't ended up laughing about something. So
Hmm. I
I
love
love
that about
that.
you.
Just writing it down and being intentional about it. What did you say?
Hmm. I said I love that about you.
Oh, well, thank you. I like to think I'm kind of
Just
funny.
telling you I like you. You are.
Yeah, so it's just really important to for first off, go follow Sally Clarkson. That's really important.
Yes. Yes. Sally Clarkson.
Um,
Yes. And her daughter, Joy, and can't remember the other one, but Joy has written several books.
I
And
never heard of them.
oh, yeah, her daughters have done great things too. Well, and her son has as well. Sons? I think she's got two sons and two daughters. But yeah,
Yeah,
good stuff.
that's what I said to her. I commented on one of her things, and I was like, I feel like I'm watching, and I'm paraphrasing. I'd have to go find the comment, but I feel like I'm watching someone that's way ahead of me. Like what that it's going to pay off. What I've done since my kids were 3 years old, it's going to pay
Right.
off, like in a
Yeah.
big way. Um, does it
And
make
this is what it looks like. This is
yes,
what it looks like. Yeah.
yes, and
It's really cool to
I'm
watch.
already seeing benefits from it. Like I'm already seeing relationship benefits from it. Um,
Good.
as my teens are, I've my son's turning 15 this year, and then my daughter's turning 14. That's crazy to me. That's kind of sad, but
It happens.
yes, life goes on. But please,
Yes.
winter, to the
Winter.
best of your ability, use it as a season of hibernation, if at all possible, because it truly is so. I don't know if I want to use the word healing.
Mm.
What's a good word? It just restores the soul. I feel like winter restores my
Yeah.
soul because I get to
Yeah.
just be with my family,
Yeah.
eat food, snuggle up, reflect on
Yep.
the year, and that's about all I have to add
Yeah.
to this one.
Beautiful. I love it. Go do it, peoples.
Go do it, peoples. So that's
Hmm.
gonna end this episode. And I decided that I'm not gonna say the name of the next episode only because I have found that when I do that, sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that one. Maybe we should. So I
Hmm.
just try to go with what people are asking. So we will see you in episode 22.